Alright, this is going to be a little mini preview of what I plan on playing for this card. UFC 259, headlined by, of course, Izzy Adesanya versus Blachowicz. Pretty good card from top to bottom. The prelim looks pretty stacked, like, all the way down to the first fight, all the way to the main event, and pretty excited for this one. From a fan's perspective, I give it a pretty high score. And from a betting perspective, I actually have a couple of spots here that I really like, and that I do plan on playing as well. And I'll actually just start from the bottom, and I'll kind of just blaze through this one, and I'll do another cast with somebody else, and maybe go in a little more depth if I can. But I'll just blaze through this one here. So from bottom to top, we have Trevin Jones versus Mario Bautista. Batista is a decently sized favorite here. I don't really know too much about Trevin Jones. I know he came out and upset what's his face, the Russian dude. Yeah, I forget his name, but yeah, he came out and upset him. So that was a good win on his end. But yeah, I really don't know too much about him. I know he won by knockout, and looking at his record, he doesn't really have too many knockouts. So I don't know if that was like a fluke or something. But Bautista, on the other hand, doesn't really have much hype or anything like that behind him. So I don't think. I mean, like, it's kind of a big line, but just seeing from the little that I have seen from him, he does look pretty good. I know he came off a really big win with a flying knee in his last fight. Dude's super tall, super lanky. He's pretty well rounded. He's got some decent striking, decent athleticism, and he's got some a little bit of wrestling in his game as well. So I do think he should be the warranted favorite here, but I don't really know how these guys match up together. And I'm not willing to pay that high of a price at -230 to find out. But I am picking Mario Bautista here. He looked pretty good, and he's got some experience on his hand here, and pretty tall and lanky guy for the division. So yeah, I'll pick him. Elon Cruz versus Euros Medic. I can't say I've seen. I didn't get a chance to watch Medic's last fight. I know judging by his record, he looks like a finisher. Looks like a submission threat. But yeah, I didn't get to catch his fight. I forget why. Elon Cruz got knocked out by that what's his name? The ginger dude. On the Contender Series, he had a nice knockout with that. I think with a front kick or a flying knee or something. I forget what it was. Yeah, I think these guys are still kind of new to the game, so it's really hard to tell what they're made out of. So can't really hard to really pick this one. So that's going to be a skip for me. There's too many good fights on this card for me to put any stock into this fight at all. So that's going to be a skip for me. Rogerio Bontorin versus Kai Kara France. Kai is -140 and Bontorin is +120. I think this fight's pretty close. Should be what I pick him. I guess the value is a little bit on Bontorin here. Bontorin is I think he debuted against fuck, I'm gonna have to look these guys' names up because I can never remember their names. Against that Russian dude who's really good. Let's see here. What's his name? Magomed Bibulatov. And yeah, and he's got a win against Paiva, which is a good win as well. Looks like a very strong grappler, really good back taker. Really just overall like pretty strong dude. He's got a pretty good record too, 16-2. Has a loss to Ray Borg though, where he got thoroughly out-wrestled. So I'm not really sure. I mean, he's a good grappler, but it looks like he could be out-grappled himself, which probably wouldn't happen. Probably not gonna happen here. But Kai Kara France has shown some pretty good wrestling himself. But he's not a wrestler. He's more of a striker. Although he will mix it up here and there, but I don't think he wants to do that against Bontorin here. So I'm thinking this is probably going to be a striker versus a grappler matchup for the most part. Not to say that either guy can't grapple or strike, but it's going to be like kind of more that way. And Kai, he's very inconsistent, and I think this is going to be a very, very, very close fight. I think it's going to go over. The over set at -225, kind of expensive, but I do expect it to go over. I mean, they are flyweights, and most of the fights do go over. However, if the fight does finishes, I might expect Bontorin to win by submission. So I'm gonna stay away from the over. But there is a little bit of value on Bontorin. I might throw a little bit of money on him just for the value sake. But no idea. It should be a really close one. Bontorin by decision at +323. Maybe I might put a little bit of money on that. A safe play would be not a safe play. Actually, never mind. I was gonna mention Bontorin by no scorecards, but I mean, yeah, I'm not sure about that one. So I mean, the odds aren't out either way. So yeah, if I were to pick, I would play the over on this one, and secondly, I would probably play Bontorin's money line just for the value, but not a strong pick for me. Not really too sure on that one. So I just think that it's going to be competitive. So next fight is going to be Jake Matthews versus Sean Brady. Brady is a pretty decently sized favorite here. The undefeated Brady, that is. This fight, I mean, man, Matthews, I don't know if he's getting any better. He's gotten a little bit more technical, but he's gotten really boring lately. His last few fights have been very forgetful, so I can't remember his last couple performances just because they were just lackluster and kind of boring and a little bit too safe. So I don't know about Matthews here. Brady, on the other hand, looks pretty good. His boxing looks good. His looks pretty strong. Looks like a good wrestler, good jiu-jitsu guy. I'm gonna play Brady by decision here at +140. Although, just statistically speaking, Matthews has been finished before. And he's been finished a couple of times before, so I don't feel too safe about it. But I mean, just statistics wise, most of Sean Brady's fights do go to decisions. He doesn't tend to finish people, but I'm not to say that he can't finish this fight just because Matthews has been finished before. And if Brady ever wants to break into the upper echelon, he should start attempting to finish these fights. And but I mean, Matthews is not a pushover, so I expect Brady to have a little bit of pushback here. So I'm gonna pick Brady here by decision at +140. I'm also thinking that the fight will go over 2.5 as well. I think if the fight does finish, I'm picking Sean Brady by third round finish. He seems to be the type of guy that kind of goes for the late finishes. So yeah, if the fight does finish, I might throw a little bit of change on Brady by third round finish. I don't know what the odds are right now, but it'll probably come out in a couple of days. But yeah, my value pick is gonna be a prop pick is gonna be Brady by decision. Fight, I think it's gonna go over as well. I do think he's gonna win as well. So those are a couple of ways that you can play it. If Matthews does win, how did he win this? I don't think he's gonna out wrestle Sean Brady here, so he's gonna have to win a striking battle here. And I think Brady's a cleaner boxer, but who knows, man? Brady's still a little bit unproven as well, so it's really hard to tell. But my gut tells me to pick Brady here. So next fight is Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Carlos Ulberg. I've seen a little bit of Carlos's fight in the Contender Series. Looks like he's a really, really good striker, powerful dude. Kennedy, on the other hand, is more of a he's kind of, I mean, they're both a little bit inexperienced. Kennedy's still freaking himself out. He doesn't really have too much power, but he's got super duper long limbs and lanky dude. Doesn't throw as hard as Carlos, but I think Carlos has the power edge here, and Kennedy has a bit more volume, I suppose. It's a light heavyweight fight. I'm probably gonna skip this, especially light heavyweights that are outside of the top 10, top 15, it's gonna be a lot of variance. There's a ton of power that goes into the mix, so it's really hard to rely on anybody when it comes to the betting portion. But pick wise, I'm gonna go with Carlos Ulberg. He comes from a good camp, and I think he fights with City Kickboxing, so he's got some of his team on the card. So I'm expecting him to win, but that's a no pick for me, man. Don't know enough about these two guys, so don't know enough about these two guys. So throat's getting kind of dry. Let me see here. Next fight, Jordan Espinoza versus Tim Elliott. These two guys are kind of funky wrestlers with a lot of footwork mixed in between. And really hard to tell because Elliot has kind of has had an up and down career. He's kind of getting a little bit closer to the end of his career as well. I don't expect Tim Elliott to get back to the top ever again, or anywhere near the top again. So he's kind of a middling fighter at this point, and Jordan Espinoza never was, and I don't think he ever will be. In the past, I think a lot of people has given Espinoza a ton of respect, especially with a lot of his lines has been. I mean, he's been the favorite a lot, and I've never liked the dude, never did, never will, and I've always pretty much bet against him throughout his entire career. So, I'm gonna go against him here again, and I'm gonna pick Tim Elliott via pressure. I think Espinoza. I mean, if there's one thing he's good at, he does have pretty good footwork, and he's pretty fast, dude. Very good at getting in and out. But I think Elliott is. I think how they match up together is. I think Elliott's gonna be the guy throwing a ton more volume and the guy moving forward, and I think he's gonna be the better wrestler here too. So if it hits the ground, I think Elliott's gonna be the one getting the takedowns. I can see Espinoza, landing their harder shots, and just because Elliot doesn't really have a ton of power, he throws a lot of little pitter patter and little, awkward, weird, strikes. I think Espinoza will probably have the harder punches, but I don't think he's got enough power to put Elliot away, and I think Elliot's gonna just maybe win on volume, maybe win on a couple, edge out a couple the takedowns and here and there, and win a decision here. So give me Elliot by decision here. Not a fan of Espinoza, like I had mentioned. Livia Souza versus Amanda Lemos. I got Lemos here. I think she's going to overpower her. She's got the better striking. She's a meaner fighter in the cage. Throws the cleaner punches. More, her mechanics are a lot cleaner. Souza fights hits like a girl, so to speak. Like, she doesn't really. I don't know. Her jiu-jitsu is okay. I think Lemos is just gonna be overall more powerful, more hulky. And there, she's just more physically stronger than Souza, and I expect Amanda Lemos to batter Souza, probably win a decision. She has some pretty good power for a strawweight, but I want to say she's gonna win a decision possibly. But yeah, give me Amanda Lemos just by being the more brute strength opponent in the cage. Joe Benavidez versus Askar Askarov. Pretty decent fight. This is Askar's moment to shine, fighting against a former title challenger here. Benavidez is close to the end of his chapter as well. Probably gonna retire here if he loses, I'm guessing, depending on how he loses. But I think Askar Askarov is a really good wrestler. Very calculated striker as well. I mean, he's not gonna wow you with his striking, but he can fight at both stances, and he's he's pretty accurate. He just doesn't throw a ton of volume on his feet, but he's a pretty decent striker. A very he's adequate there. In the grappling realm, I don't think. I mean, Benavidez he's always been pretty good defensively and offensively here. So I think in the grappling realm, I think it might cancel each other out. I just think Askarov is just gonna win just being more youthful in here. He's got a little more gas in the tank. He's still yeah. I just think Askar is probably gonna win this striking battle. I think he's gonna win on the feet and I think on the ground. While Benavidez is a really tough guy to out wrestle, I think Askar is a pretty dogged wrestler, and I think he's gonna be pushing the pace. And overall, I think he's just he's very well rounded himself. So I don't see a spot where Joseph Benavidez could exploit so much. If anything, maybe if Benavidez hurts him on the feet, and maybe forces some bad shots out of Askar, maybe that might get him the victory here. But yeah, man, 10 years. I mean, like, man, yeah, he's a whole lot younger, and I expect Askarov to win this fight. I think he's just a really overall skilled dude. I don't think the experience gap is going to make a huge difference here. So I like Askarov by decision. Also like his money line. I think this fight should go over as well. So those are a couple of different ways to play it. I think if Benavidez wins, taking the over might cover him as well. And same thing for Elliot versus Espinoza. If you're on the Espinoza side, I think taking the over might be a good play as well. Yeah. All right, moving on. Kyler Phillips versus Yadong Song. There's been a lot of starweights and bantamweights and a lot of smaller dudes fighting here. Yeah, there has been. Anyways, damn, this is a really good fight. I mean, Yadong Song, we know who he is. He's a pretty hyped fighter out of China. Kyler Phillips doesn't have as much hype as Yadong Song, but he's a pretty damn good fighter himself. I think he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, really good wrestling, really good striking. Both guys can pretty much do it all. They could submit you, they can knock you out, they could wrestle, they can pretty much do it all. And man, this is a really, really solid fight. I don't know who's going to win this one, to be honest. It could really go either way. I think this fight should be a 50-50 fight. Negative 110 apiece, that's what I think. The power edge will probably go to Yadong Song. I mean, the fight's set at pretty close. I mean, Yadong is negative 135 and Phillips is plus 115. So I kind of agree with that. The odds here, I mean, it being even wouldn't be bad either. Yadong probably has the power edge here, like I said. But man, yeah, this fight's gonna be all over the place. I think they're both really, really solid dudes. Wouldn't sleep on either of these two guys. Moving up the ranks here. So yeah, there's a ton of showcased bantamweights and flyweights here, and just the smaller dudes. Should be and a lot of these guys are still really, really good fighters. So really excited for this one. I don't have a pick for this one. I think it's just gonna be too close of a call. Main event. Prelims headliner. Casey Kenny versus Dominic Cruz. Dom is pushing 36, 37 years old now. Sad to say, but I think he's gonna lose here to Casey Kenny. Casey Kenny's on the rise, looking really, really good. Really solid southpaw. Just has been killer with his body kicks. Solid dude. Most guys in the bantamweight divisions are just going to be athletes all around, fighters. No weaknesses really. So I think this entire card has had as far as the lighter weight fighters, they're all pretty damn well rounded, and that's no difference here. Yeah, man. The safe bet would probably be over 2.5. However, that's pretty damn expensive. It's at negative 255, so fuck that. I think Casey Kenny's gonna win a decision here, man. He's just a really solid dude, and just Cruz is kind of on his way out. So what can you say? I think even in Cruz's prime, I think this fight would have been competitive as well. I think Casey Kenny's solid dude. But yeah, man, fuck, I gotta take Kenny here just by age here. Wouldn't mind seeing Dominic Cruz win this, but yeah, it should be a decision either way. So I'll take Kenny by decision, or take the over 2.5 to be safer, to just in case Dominic Cruz does win here. Yeah, Thiago Santos versus Alexander Rakic. This is the first fight on the pay-per-view. Pretty explosive fight here. Both guys are they have a ton of power. Light heavyweights here. Rakic is the favorite at -155. Rakic, even though he's billed as a striker, he's also a pretty good wrestler as well. I wonder if he's gonna wrestle Thiago Santos here. I think Rakic is the rightful favorite. I mean, Santos did come off of those bad knee surgeries, so he got finished by Glover in that last fight. Did give Glover a hard time though, just because Santos hits fucking hard, and we know this already. So, when it comes to betting light heavyweight fights, it's just too much variance. You could be losing until you lose. And you could be winning the fight until you lose. Just because these boys have such these guys have big power, so it's like it's. I think betting the smaller weight fighters are going to be much more of a safer bet than betting these two knockout artists. So I'm going to stay away from this one. I think there's some value on Santos, however, but yeah, I'm going to have to stay away from this one. This is a very, very dangerous fight to be betting on light heavyweights who could end the fight at any point. So fun fight as a fan. From a betting perspective, it has to be a skip there. Lightweight fight, Drew Dober versus Islam Makhachev. Makhachev is a huge favorite, -330. I do expect Makhachev to win here. I think, I wouldn't fault anybody for taking Dober at 275. Those are pretty big odds. These fucking Dagestanis are just fucking, masters at their craft. So, maybe if Dober were to win, it would be like if he can get Islam to be like desperate for the takedowns, maybe he could defend some of those and just knock him out. Dober has knocked out a couple of southpaws himself, and Islam has been knocked out by a southpaw before, which is was against what's his name, the Brazilian southpaw. I forget his name, the black belt dude. So. Yeah, and then Dober has also knocked out Nasrat Hakparas as well. So I wouldn't sleep on Dober here, but yeah, man, you can't bet against Islam. He's too damn good in the wrestling portion. So probably gonna stay away from this just because his odds are a little bit too wide. I think maybe closer to fight day, some money might come in on Dober just because the odds are a little too wide. But my price point for Islam might be -250 maybe. Even then, I don't know if I feel good about playing -250 line, just because there are other spots on this card that I could take advantage of. But you know what, too? Like, man, this is Islam's moment to shine. He's on a big pay-per-view card. It's gonna be a lot of eyes on him. He's been getting hyped, to take over the throne after Khabib has left. So he better come out here and finish the fight because interestingly enough, Dober's been knocking out his last 3 opponents, but he's also been finished his last 3 times that he's lost as well. So I wouldn't sleep on Islam winning by finish here as well. Maybe like a mounted triangle, like he's really good at, with maybe an arm triangle or something like that. But I wouldn't doubt that he wouldn't be able to finish this fight. And same thing for Dober as well. Dober has been going for the chunks lately. Dober in his early career, he doesn't really have too much knockouts, surprisingly, just because dude looks so fucking buff and kind of a, tanky of a guy. But lately he's been getting some knockouts. He's been kind of forcing the issue. He's been getting extremely aggressive with folks. So I can see, if Dober gets out-wrestled for the first, round and a half or maybe 2 rounds, I can see him just going berserker and going for the knockout here. But I expect Islam to out-wrestle him and possibly get a submission if he outworks Derber enough and gets him a little tired or something. But yeah, my pick is gonna be Islam here. Can't play the money line, but I will put a little bit of money on the submission line. Just for the odds. I don't know what that's gonna be like, but I'm guessing it might be like maybe plus 350 or something. So we'll see. Throw some change on that. Sterling versus Peter Yan. Odds are even. Pretty close fight. Really hard to call, but I'm going to go with the over 3.5 in this one here. I think they're both going to be really competitive. If the fight does end, early. Sterling can, he showed before that, if he gets his arm around your neck, you're going to sleep. And he did that to Corey Sandhagen in the first round. So, I lost some money on that one because I took the over. So, kind of gave me a little PTSD because that was the last leg of my parlay. But, yeah, I think this fight's going to go over 3.5 here. I think, Sterling plays that game where he's kind of fighting out in the range, and then getting you to kind of close the gap, and then he goes and, shoots his shot and gets you down. So I don't know if that's going to work here against Peter Yan. Peter Yan is pretty good all around as well. He's a switch stance fighter, can fight pretty square sometimes, and I think that his kind of fundamental style is going to trump. I guess I'm kind of talking myself into leaning towards Peter Yan here. But I think eventually that range game that Sterling plays, I think the gap is going to close with Peter Yan moving forward and just kind of squaring up and just getting it out of Jermaine Sterling's face. I think the pressure from Peter Yan is going to get to Sterling. But I know Sterling is going to look good in spots here. And I think this should be a really close fight and a very competitive fight. So I'm going to take the over 3.5 here. I don't think either guy's going to finish each other. I think it's going to go all 5 rounds. Don't know who's going to win this one, but I'm going to lean towards Peter Yan, but there's really no telling, man. Sterling can get to your back and really backpack you, and that could be the end of the round right there. So that's a really good round winner. So round winning style. So super competitive. Over 3.5 is the play. I'm going to lean towards Peter Yan, but not 100% sure. I think Peter Yan has a better boxing here, and Sterling has a better kick. So, co-main event, Megan Anderson versus Amanda Nunes. The odds on Amanda Nunes is negative 1,000. Obviously, can't play that. I'm going to pick Amanda Nunes by knockout, plus 110 or plus 120 or something, just because that's how she usually finishes people, and I don't see why she could easily take Megan Anderson down and just choke her out, but, why do that when you can get a spectacular knockout? And I don't feel like Nunes needs to really push for the takedown either way, so I think she can handle herself fine in the stand-up. I don't see Megan Anderson being a threat. The easy way out would be Nunes to take her down and submit her, or, ground and pound her or whatnot, but I think Nunes wants to stand with her, and it's not like Megan Anderson has one punch knockout power either way. So, yeah, give me Nunes by knockout. Izzy Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz. I'm thinking Izzy's going to roll here. His odds are pretty decently priced. You don't really get to see these type of odds very often. Izzy is negative 230. Man, I guess I'm a little bit biased because I've never really liked Jan. But I think the speed is going to be the difference here. I think Izzy is going to be able to land at range. I know Jan had problems with fighting, Thiago Santos, where Santos was really kind of just picking him apart at range, and Jan was kind of too big, too slow to kind of close the distance, and then, he kind of played a really patient game, and eventually, I'm speaking in regards to that Thiago Santos fight, when he decided to, I'm just going to close the gap and rush in, he went and got himself knocked out, so running into a really huge punch. I don't think Izzy has that much power, but he does have speed and accuracy, so, if Jan comes in, sloppy, he can knock him out, but, yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. I think it's going to be depending on Jan here, so I think my head says I'm leaning towards Izzy Adesanya by decision. I know he can knock him out. It just really depends on how Jan approaches this fight. So if Jan comes out here and just tries to be technical, I think Izzy's gonna win by decision, but if he, at some point gets really frustrated like he did against Thiago Santos and rushes in, I think Izzy's gonna find the perfect counter and knock him out. But the odds are pretty juicy on Adesanya by knock decision, so I kind of want to play it. I haven't played it yet, but I think I will end up playing it. But I will take Izzy by money line, and I can see him becoming the double champ here. Kind of weak because, like I said, I don't like Jan Blachowicz. I think that Polish power is overrated. I don't think he's that big of a puncher. I think the fight will go over 2.5 as well. I think it's gonna be a late finish, if he does finish the fight. But I'm leaning towards the decision, like I had mentioned. So I think ways to play this fight is gonna be Izzy by money line over 2.5. Izzy by decision for the value, and yeah, I think that's how the fight will go. I don't see if Jan wins. I think he would just have to figure out. I mean, if he has to get on top somehow. But even then, like, yeah, I think the speed is gonna be the killer here. So, give me Izzy Adesanya. So, yeah, that was the card. All of those picks that I had mentioned were pretty good, pretty decent picks. A little bit, some of them were a little bit juiced, but that's pretty much everything I'm going to be playing. There's a ton of overs that I'm going to be playing. So a couple of money lines here and there, a couple of decision lines on a couple of these fighters. If you have access to that, that'll be pretty good to play. So yeah, I mean, I guess I wasn't planning on going into too much detail with this cast. But maybe if I can. I'm a pretty busy fucking dude. I run fucking pretty big business. So if I can find some time, I'll find somebody to cast with, and maybe we can kind of play a little bit devil advocate and bounce, ideas back and forth and have a bit of a discussion. But yeah, thanks for listening. This cast, I think I'm leaning towards just being on one platform, which is well, not one platform, but just through audio platforms like Spotify and Stitcher and iTunes and things like that. I'm super fucking busy. Like I said, I'm fucking the CEO of my business, of my own business, and I don't really have the time to sit around and edit videos and things like that. So I just, maybe if anybody out there wants to partner with me, I wouldn't mind casting it. I just don't have the time to edit and post these videos. I'll post this one on YouTube this time, but man, I just really don't have the time in the future. So find me on Spotify, find me on iTunes and other podcast platforms. In the near future, I will once in a while do some pay-per-views and post it on YouTube. But man, like I said, if anybody out there wants to partner up and do this cast together and do the editing, I wouldn't mind hopping on a video YouTube call as well. So reach out to me. I'm Rebel Lion on Sherdog. You can DM me there, message me there, or you can find me on Instagram at Rentfree MMA as well, or just message me in the I think those two might be the best way to reach me out to me. So Rebel_Lion on Sherdog and Rentfree MMA on Instagram. Good luck, everybody.